Next is Warp Zone. Molly and Eric are going to be talking about art in video games. And if you haven't already, I suggest you check out our website, CHIBBYchannel.com. There's lots of exclusive Warp Zone content up there. There's free games, extended interviews, downloads. As well, there's cartoons and films, and there's even an extended, there's even a 1-hour best of Future Vision Amsterdam Season 1. So if you missed it on TV, suggest you check it out. There's a veritable plethora, nay, cornucopia of content up there. But first, Warp Zone.
Greetings, welcome to the Warp Zone. My name is Molly Headdy Carroll.
My name is Erik van Wees.
And this week we're talking about art and games. So yeah. So I suppose the first big question is, are games art? Well, of course they are. Games were recently protected under free speech in America. The MoMA in New York is having an exhibit about games. If you don't think games are art at this point, get with it. That's basically it.
It's an art form like any other. I've thought about this an awful lot, what art entails. I believe that art is conscious appreciation of experience. So, you play a game, you get the game, the audio, the visuals, and all the effects into you process that, and there comes an experience. And here's always the thing when people talk about artsy games, that doesn't really help, because when is something arty? Games as an entire art form, like all games, your Call of Duty, your Pac-Man, and also nowadays you have your Dear Esther and Journey, that are considered artsy. But that may have to do with a profound meaning in it. But that doesn't say anything about whether other games are art or not.
Yeah.
They're all art. Like whether you're just shooting, that's an awesome experience on its own as well. Just as much as you're, gliding along with Journey, or like having something to think about in a game such as Dear Esther when it provokes some thought.
Well, this is the thing that a lot of there's a thing that Scott McCloud talks about in his book Understanding Comics, where new media will replicate the old. Like the first cinema was like stage theater, the first television was like radio with pictures, and I think games do this a little bit. Artsy games are trying to emulate things like film or painting and things like that. But the thing is that I think very early games are pure games like Atari games and Asteroids. I think they are the most artsy games because they show that thing that makes games as a medium a whole different art form.
Yeah,
it's just pure gameplay,
which is kind of funny.
And if you have a game that has all these layers of story and visuals and 3D and all this thing, it's deterring away from the core of what a game can do. But of course, a thing, video games are max if you go back 60 years old. But a thing a lot of people forget is that that's just video games. Games themselves are thousands of years old. You have chess and Go and all those things as well.
Yeah, and just as much as with video games, also from those games, you get an experience, and that's really great. It's that with chess, the interaction you have with players, that goes very deep on an abstract level when it's just a game. And it's funny because it kind of goes against what Scott McCloud says, that a new medium tries to emulate its previous one. In the case of video games, or actually just games, it didn't.
But that's the thing. At first, it was experimenting with it, and then when it became popularized, then it started to replicate.
Yeah, then it started to replicate, which is funny. It became later on.
Everything was like that, like the footage of the footage of the train coming in.
Yeah.
That was pure what cinema can do.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's true though. That theory only applies once it takes off.
Perhaps, yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah. But yeah, I think with games as an art form, I think for some people it's quite difficult for them to accept that, because they're like, well, what about like Call of Duty and stuff? Well, of course, they're part of it as well. But the thing is that a lot of these like we've mentioned a lot of very artistic games that maybe not a lot of people know about. I like to think about if you try to film as an art form, and imagine if you tried to defend film as an art form with just summer blockbusters, like proving to someone that a film is art based on Transformers 2. That's what happens when you try to prove that games are an art form with just the big games that you read in newspapers, like your Dead Spaces and your Skyrims and your EA games and stuff like that. So that's something that needs to be taken into account when talking about games as an art form.
Exactly. There's no games tend to be about play, which is also art.
Yeah.
I love games because they evoke sophisticated experiences. There are so many beautiful worlds to explore, so much to do. Video games truly are an amazing art form. If I were to ask any gamer, just any gamer, name one of your most favorite games ever, then I get answers like Contra, Super Mario 64, Grim Fandango, The Sims, and The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Now why the fuck is this game one of the most sought after games ever? Hell, it's not even a finished product. It's a prototype, but not a very fine one in my opinion. It's a joke that has gotten out of hand. Video game collectors are fighting over this pile of junk. If you wanted to buy this game complete in box with manual, it will cost you around 1,300 American dollars according to pricecharting.com. Now, I understand a collector would want to collect amazing works of art, but man, this ain't one of them. People collect this game solely due to the fact it's rare, not because it's a really good game that fills you with joy and wonder, like Little Samson for example. Cheetah Man 2 should be wiped from the arse of the earth so everybody can wake up again and start focusing on games that truly speak to them. It's not the game itself, it's what the game has become. Warp Zone gives Cheetah Man 2 a delete. Put this game out of its misery, please.